Let me paint you a scenario. You're walking alone through a park at night when you notice off in the distance is someone dressed as a clown. Odds are you're either gonna look for a weapon or run in the opposite direction, because that's freaking terrifying. But why? When did clowns turn into such nightmare fuel? Where does this creepy clown phenomenon stem from, and at what point did they go from funny to spooky? I mean, aren't clowns supposed to be fun? Like, isn't that kind of the point, to entertain? That's what they were originally intended for, but when's the last time someone actually booked a clown to perform at a kid's birthday party, like 1992? Something strange happened with clowns right under our noses. They went from lovable goofballs to terrifying creatures, and the entertainment industry didn't help with that either. From Pennywise to the Joker, there's no shortage of scary clowns depicted for us to ingest on the regular. Heck, I'm even petrified of the insane clown posse. Because here's the thing, if you're a clown posse, there's no need to specify. We get it, you're clearly insane.
I fed a fish to a pelican at Frisco Bay and tried to eat my cell phone.
In general, the whole scary clown narrative just keeps growing and growing, but nobody really questions why they're so scary. Some people are so afraid of clowns that there's an actual phobia. It's called coulrophobia. This isn't a new trend. Clearly, clowns have been scary enough for long enough that it's been classified as an actual psychological condition. So when did it start? Well, clowning was a major part of the medieval courts. The royals had their minstrels, their jugglers, and their jesters who would clown around and act like fools in order to get a laugh. By the Middle Ages, the role had evolved from just court performances to professional comedic actors who would travel around and perform for audiences at festivals. Rather than simply exist to please the upper echelon of society, clowns became a widespread source of entertainment. This medieval era saw the introduction of the harlequin in 16th century Italian theater. So wait, if harlequin is a type of clown, does that mean that Harley Quinn from the DC universe is technically a clown? I mean, the Joker is a clown. Is his girlfriend one as well? I guess they each have a type. Throughout this era, it became popular to watch puppet shows like Punch and Judy, which actually can still be seen to this day. The puppets were intentionally quite rude and aggressive with each other, often smashing one another with bats in order to make children laugh. I don't know what it is about violence that kids find so funny, but that's a messed up psychological study to dive into in another video, I suppose. But this might have been the first iteration of clowns acting anything other than just silly.
Stop! He's already dead!
For the first time, they began showing other emotions, namely anger and aggression. Despite it still being comedic in nature, I'm sure that slight shift had some sort of effect on the public perception. Evil clowns started to occupy a small niche in drama during the late 1800s. 1874's La Femme de Tabarin by Catulle Mendez, as well as Ruggero Leoncavallo's Pagliacci, were both hugely popular plays featuring a murderous clown as the central character. Around the time of the Great Depression, sad tramp clowns started increasing. They had the sad makeup and the torn-up ratty clothes. The whole MO of the sad clown was to make people laugh by being a complete failure. Real depressing stuff. That's sure to get some laughs. People felt sympathy for them, so they'd be regarded as endearing characters to a degree. Then everything changed in the 1950s and 60s when television was introduced, and clowns were once again considered fun. Clowns on television became a widespread favorite for children, and as a result, their parents. They were once again the silly, lovable goofballs. Heck, McDonald's even chose one as their mascot because, at the time, clowns were friendly and funny. If Ronald McDonald were created today, he'd be an entirely different thing, I can assure you. Heck, clowns used to go visit children in hospitals to help cheer them up and feel better. If a clown showed up in a hospital today, there'd be widespread panic and they'd sound the alarms. So what the heck happened between 1960 and today? It was only a couple of years ago where people dressed as killer clowns started popping up all over the globe. Some believe this trend was influenced by the release of It, while others link it back to a documentary on Wrinkles the Clown, an unidentified man in Florida who will essentially get paid to creep people out. Seriously, like, it's a real human man who nobody knows his true identity, and for a couple bucks he'll show up and scare the crap out of your friends or your kids or whoever you want.
Guys, there's something outside.
But that's still recent, and we're trying to figure out where the source of the fear stems from. Perhaps it has something to do with John Wayne Gacy. He was a notorious serial killer. After he was arrested in 1978, it was discovered that he'd actually been working children's parties and other events under the name Pogo the Clown, and was thus dubbed the Killer Clown in the media. There were no reports of him ever wearing his clown costume while committing his heinous crimes, but the correlation between dangerous killer and clowning as a profession certainly got closer. Also in the 1970s, popular comedy magazine The National Lampoon published a series of mock comic books entitled Evil Clown, which featured a horrifying main character named Frenchie the Clown. So if clowns were still beloved child entertainers in the 1960s, then the 1970s is really when the scary clown narrative started to unfold. I think it's the exaggerated look of clown makeup that makes them so unsettling. A clown's face is a major part of scare culture because nobody looks like that. It's almost monster-esque. They have huge noses and gross mouths and enormous shoes and out-of-control hair. With such exaggerated features, it's easy to confuse them as deformed rather than comical. They're lifelike enough to be disturbing, but not realistic enough to be pleasant. Then add the fact that a clown's behavior is odd and antisocial in nature, which can create a feeling of unease, especially in a younger and more sensitive individual. Some experts believe that clown phobias stem from the fact that they're real people wearing makeup and disguising their true identities. Like, it's no secret that there's a real person under there, you know? Who knows what that person looks like, or what they think, or how they act, or anything about them, really. There's an intense ambiguity around clowns that make them so creepy. All we know is that it's a person who looks weird and is acting weird, and that's literally the extent of our knowledge. They seem to be happy, but we have no way of knowing. They seem to be fun, but who knows where their true intentions may lie. Plus, you're always on edge around a clown because you never know when you might get a pie in the face or be the victim of some other sort of prank. So, yeah, you're damn right it's unsettling. As mentioned prior, the earliest clowns were found in royal courts. The court jester wasn't necessarily evil, but he was the only person in the kingdom who could poke fun at the monarch without fear of literally losing their head. They were fools who didn't fall within the normal societal hierarchy. At the time, even more than today, everyone was expected to act a certain way. There were enormous societal expectations put on people, but the jesters were the outliers. They didn't follow the rules, which I suppose contributes to the notion that they're untrustworthy. They were strange outsiders, and while funny, they weren't normal by any stretch of the imagination. People tend to feel comfortable around normal and feel weird about anything outside of the norm. That's just human nature. No wonder the evil clown became such a cinematic trope. They make for the perfect creepy character, whether it's the Joker or Pennywise, and that depiction in mainstream media has shaped the public perception. After so many decades of being shown scary clowns, it's only natural that a bunch of people are going to be scared of them. By the 19th century, we started seeing the white-faced circus clown that we know today. Unlike jesters and harlequins who came before, which had more mature undertones, these clowns performed primarily for children and maintained a wholesome image. They were simply meant to be silly and quirky. By the 1970s, the innocent image of the clown took a sharp left turn. By the 1980s, we were exposed to classics such as Stephen King's It, the cult classic Killer Clowns from Outer Space, and that scene from Poltergeist with the possessed clown doll. All of these combined to propel the general population's distrust for clowns into a flat-out phobia. There's countless other examples, from The Man Who Laughs to Captain Spaulding from The Devil's Rejects. With so many spooky clowns out there, it kind of makes you wonder less about when they became creepy, and more about when did people actually like this stuff. So what do you think? How do you feel about clowns? Are they scary or funny, or do you have some sort of interesting fascination with them? Let us know how you feel in the comment section down below. Before you go, make sure to smash that thumbs up button. Also, be sure to subscribe to ScreenRant to stay up to date on all of our latest releases. Until next time, bye!